about Nicaea, and then
I don't have much to say on the historical side. I think we've got more in-depth students of the council. The one thing that's always struck me, though, about Nicaea is, especially in some Protestant and Anabaptist traditions, is it's actually seen very negatively. It's seen as a time when the empire and the church came together in some sort of collusion or corruption. But at the same time, without Nicaea, the church probably wouldn't have survived the theological controversy of Arianism in the coming years after it. And so in some sense, it was also a necessity. And so I like to hold together the tension of it, of seeing something that God ordained and blessed, and pulling together an emperor who could bring together a united confession that's allowed the church to survive to this day without neglecting some of the challenges and issues that have arisen from it. And so in one sense, we can truly celebrate it as a gift from the Lord, and in another sense, we can grieve some of the ways that maybe power and the church have oftentimes been misappropriated.
So we have two battles. There is 70 after Christ and 135. And this was in Jerusalem happening, and most of the Jewish population was not allowed to enter the city again. They were thrown out of Jerusalem. And the Christians who were Messianic Jews were in some ways thought to be guilty that they had not supported the Jews in the battles against the Romans. So the situation of the Messianic Jews at that time was very difficult. And when we come to the Nicene Council, it said that more or less it was not possible that there is any Jewish bishop here. And so the situation was that the emperor Constantine conquered this part, and he wanted to have, as Daniel said, unity amongst his inhabitants. So he experienced that the Christians at that time, especially the theologians in the East, were fighting against each other. And there was a big controversy between you have to also to know that the Christian took over the system of the Romans to make patriarch and like diocese things. So we had the patriarch of Alexandria, of Jerusalem, we had the patriarch of Antioch, and Constantinople was afterwards also said to be a patriarch, and we had Rome. And so the emperor invited, it is said that he invited a lot of bishops from the East. It said, I think he wrote 1,800 letters to bishops.
Wow.
And 200 or 300 were coming, mostly from the eastern part. From the western part, only I think 7 were coming. And the Pope at that time was not here, but he sent 2 presbyters to come here. So this Nicene Council was assembled, and the emperor, you must think, he was very proud, and he wanted to be recognized as somebody who is helpful and also helpful and in this council. So he opened the council. But you know, we as Catholic always think a council can only be opened by the Pope. But this was not at that time. And then, as Daniel mentioned, it was especially that there was a big discussion about the presbyter Arian, we call him, from Alexandria. And he said that perhaps you know it better, you are a theologian, I'm not, that Jesus is not, we call it in Greek, homoousios, not this equal or same.
Of one essence.
Yeah, one essence with the Father. So at the beginning it was not sure that the Arian party will win, and the emperor was influenced by two bishops, and so he decided the Arianism is false, and the other bishops also signed it and said yes, okay, and Arian was banned, and I think 3 or 4 bishops also were banned at that time because they had to leave. But it did not last a long time. I think 2 or 3 years after, the Constantine was influenced by others, other bishops, so he said he will call Arian back from his exile, and it came the other way around. People who were at the other party were banned, and one is very famous. It was Bishop. He was not bishop at that time. He was he was a monk called Athanasius, and Athanasius really thought he is right if he really emphasized that the Arian theology is false. So he was also banned and was brought to Germany perhaps, not perhaps, Germany, but this helped that in Germany these wie sagt man da, diese Mönchskultur,
the monasteries started to grow everywhere.
Yeah, like it was of Athanasius. Athanasius was from Alexandria, so he was in some respect one of the most.
The idea of living together as monks was brought to Europe.
And this influenced Europe a lot. So, and then, what else? Yeah, because we have had no Jewish bishops here, and it was said that Constantine was very against the Jews. You have also something terrible things against the Jews. For instance, that he said we have to change the date of Easter time. Easter will not be together with the Jews at Pesach, but it should be 1 week after. he introduced also Sunday, which is, I think, not so bad, because at that time in the Roman Empire there were no day free for the people. So he said, okay, we celebrate the resurrection, and so we will choose Sunday for celebrate this. What else?
So what is the relation between this council and the Nicene Creed?
This was, in some respect, founded in what the first part of was here founded, yes, but the Nicene Creed was also completed afterwards, because in another council there was the aspect more on the Holy Spirit. But it's very necessary that here we got this Nicene Creed, and I always say, if the theologian in the East wouldn't have decided this, we perhaps would be Arianistic people, yeah, and not believing that Jesus is God as the Father is God. So I think it's very important, and the Council of Vatican II in the Catholic Church said it's very important. This town is the third holy town. Hans bitte? The third holy town. Jerusalem, Rome, and İznik.
Wow.
Nicaea.
Wow.
So I think that is what I can say. But if I say something false, please correct me. Mark, come on. Because we have to get the right picture.
I would like to say some things, not so much as a historian or theologian. But Danny talked about the objections of some Anabaptists to the council. But I think it's very important, as Verena said, to understand that these arguments were crucial. And so even Protestants who feel like this doesn't have anything to do with them inherit the doctrine of the Trinity from the Nicene Council. And the more I contemplate the Trinity, the more crucial I understand it is to our faith and how we relate to God. So I think we all owe a huge debt to the things that were decided here. But the other thing that grieves me when I read it, we owe a tremendous debt to the Church Fathers, because they battled out a lot of difficult theological questions. But when you study the council, you also see that they were lacking in godly love towards one another. Some of the arguments they had were very bitter and very ugly, and and this grieves me. I think the language that they used for one another was
And Constantine wanted to overcome this terrible language.
What's that?
Constantine wanted.
Oh, he wanted to over because it goes.
Didn't succeed.
And regarding the language, when Easter was separated from the Passover and Christians were forbidden from observing the Sabbath, the language used was very ugly and very derogatory towards, and very bitter. And so I think it's easy to understand that Jews who believed in Jesus, when they read the decrees of the Nicene Council, can feel like I have no part in this. And that's what it was made to. The intention was that you are either Christian or Jewish at that point. So I think those are things to grieve. But the doctrine of the Trinity is something that is precious to all of us, I think. So.